Hey everybody, Chris DeSantis here, and I just want to talk a little bit more in depth about the course I'm going to be offering. That is the first unit of 5 in positive psychology in coaching. And I wrote in a lot of my social media posts, this is something that I have been thinking about doing for a really long time. And I'm finally taking it from the stage of thinking about it to actually doing it. And this video is, if you're listening to the podcast version of this is a chance to get a little bit more information, a little bit more detailed information about what to expect out of taking this course. And to do that, I'm going to tell you a couple stories as I usually do. People who listen to this know I'm always doing storytelling to get points across. The first one is about the really fancy qualification that I have. And then the second one is more about learning, and especially coaches learning, and how I see coaches learning, and how that will be incorporated into the way that I teach the course. So first, um, people who have seen, especially me in this sort of reboot of Chris DeSantis Coaching, know I'm very out there and proud of the fact that I was the first athletic coach in the entire world to get an advanced degree in positive psychology. And I want you to know that whatever I say from this point, that is still really true, because I'm actually going to say some pretty critical things about the program that I took. And you may have heard this in other contexts, but I think it's worth repeating as I start to think about how I'm going to give you some of the knowledge and implementation that I have worked so hard on. I got a master's in applied positive psychology from the University of Pennsylvania in 2009. And I've often told people that I think the the biggest lie in that qualification is the applied piece of it. The program that I took was extremely heavy on theory. I got an amazing introduction to a lot of theories. I heard from a lot of amazing people, researchers, okay, people that worked really hard to do the science piece of positive psychology. But if I'm being totally honest, the piece that wasn't there as much was, what do we actually do with all of this? Um, and I sort of remember having that thought even in the moment, but it took me a number of years until I revisited and reconnected with some other people that had been through it. And they sort of said, like, yeah, it's not really in it, the applied part. So what was the point? The point was, I guess we were supposed to figure that out ourselves. And I think one of the advantages that you are going to get if you sign up for my course is I have been working for 14 years to figure out all of the best ways to apply some of that stuff that I learned and worked on and have been tinkering with for a long time. Because, it's one thing to understand the basics of something, right? And then it's a whole nother level of skill and knowledge and development to get to a place where you think you can actually take some of that knowledge and put it into practice. And I think I can do that for a group of coaches in a relatively short period of time, but only because I've spent so much time since then poking at the theories and the ways in which they actually apply to what I'm doing. Um, and so when you sign up for this course, yeah, you are going to get some theoretical knowledge about positive psychology. Absolutely. In order to start using any of the concepts, you are going to have to learn some basic vocabulary, some terminology, and more than learn, sort of understand, wrap your arms around it fully so that you can start to put stuff into practice. But don't be don't be confused at all. This will not be 6 weeks of just information download into your brain. What I'm going to do, and this segues into the discussion of learning, and specifically coaches learning, is I am going to show you this stuff put into practice live on the calls that we're going to be having as part of the course. And the reason for that, I think, once you think about it as a coach, is pretty fundamental to how we learn and how we do things. I have always noticed that coaching has a really strong apprenticeship model, right? That especially in when you're getting started in coaching, a lot of what you do is you work with a more experienced coach, and you don't have a lot of direct responsibility for setting things up, or like making a plan or making what the workouts look like, or sort of directing the overall orientation of what's going on. And then over time, by sort of practicing somebody else's method, you start to develop your own ideas about the way that you're going to do it. I want the process that we're going to go through in the 6 weeks to mirror that, right? So I think that example shows that what most coaches do, right, is not like memorize a bunch of stuff or learn exactly the way somebody else does something and copy it wholesale. What they do is they watch somebody else do the thing, right? They watch somebody else coach, they watch somebody else design practice, they watch somebody else make a long-term plan for what's going on. And through the process of learning how somebody else is doing it, okay, that is when they start to get their own ideas about how and what direction they might take some of the things that they're learning. And this is a really exciting thing to me. It is also like a little bit of a scary thing, if I'm being honest, right? Because, when you put ideas out there into the universe, you don't know what direction people are going to take them in. What are they going to use them for? Like, what are they going to do? There's infinite possibilities, but I want to lean into the part of this that is really exciting. And that is, there's an opportunity to take knowledge and for people to really actually accelerate the process that I've been on for 14 years by having more people who have a basic knowledge of what's going on and are going out there and actually doing what I often reference as qualitative research. That is what most coaches do, right? They go out and they try stuff and they see what works. And they, sort of like evaluate what their findings are. They tinker, they adjust, they do all of this stuff. So I'm really excited about the fact that debuting a course like this will actually send a new cohort of people out into the coaching world who are actually ready to test some stuff out and learn. And hopefully, I'll get some of that coming back my way as well, because of where they started with some of it. And I think it's really, really going to accelerate some of these ideas. In conclusion, I think I've probably given this whole talk with a a assumption that a lot of people who maybe even are signing up for this have a basic knowledge of what positive psychology is. And I think that there's probably going to be a lot of people that come into this course with varying levels of knowledge of what positive psychology is, or maybe very different ideas about what positive psychology is. So I want to, here at the end, as a bonus addendum, thinking out loud, just give you guys a little bit of a flavor of what I see positive psychology is and why I think it's so exciting, a knowledge field to incorporate into coaching. Positive psychology at its core is a field that seeks to answer the question, what is right with people? That is, what is good in people? What are their strengths? What are their competencies? What is going well for people when they are at their best in life, right? And while that may seem like, I think a lot of coaches hear that and they go like, yeah, that's pretty obvious. Well, it wasn't very obvious in the field of psychology, which spent a lot of time over the years and a lot of resources uh, devoted to the very, very noble and worthwhile research of mental illnesses and how to treat and cure them. And so I think there's an opportunity, because most of what we're doing in the coaching world, right, is of course we want to be there for people. We want to be empathetic. We want to help them when they're having a problem, but we also want to be able to set up and do well for them when they're in a situation where they are not trying to get from a deficit to not having a deficit, but actually moving to a place where they're going to from a stable position to the best possible version of what they can do. So that's some of the stuff that you're going to be seeing in the course. I hope you guys are really excited to discuss some of that. Of course, you can probably hear that I'm really excited, and I look forward to seeing people sign up and getting off the ground with this first ever course. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you again soon.